Hi guys, GYRO here, back on another video. So today's video is all about my GLD. I've had a lot of questions about how I'm getting on with the GLD, and I've just not gotten around to make a video about it. So today I'm giving an update. Well, the good news is my GLD runs beautifully. I'm very happy with this car. It's taken a little while to get it here, a bit of TLC, but like a lot of these cars, I mean, I think the GLD got a little bit of bad press when it first came out. There were a few minor issues which I think some of them were blown out of proportion, some of them were justified. But overall, this car it's a great chassis. Once you've got it tuned correctly, and all of these cars need the chassis tuning correctly for them to run properly. In this particular instance, I mean, I've made a lot of upgrades to this car, but I'll try and go through them all first before I get into the details of how it handles. So the first upgrade I got was the adjustable chassis. So I've now changed it to 98mm. I've obviously got the alloy pom gear there. That's one of the things that was I think they said at fault originally, but I didn't have that problem. My gearbox has always been very smooth. I'm happy with how this gearbox runs, and the diff is brilliant. It's one of the best diffs, I think. The front arms I changed to the alloy aluminium arms, and I've used I think different ball ends there. You can use the GLA ones, but I've used I don't know which one. I think these are for Mini Q, I think, even just to get the extra width, so I could get the right track width for my Corvette shell. I also have the aluminium bulkhead, as you can see. That's a good addition. I've got the lower aluminium arms. And I have also got the geo-rating adjustable shocks for the GLD with the softer front springs and adjustable shocks for the rear. And the reason I got the adjustable shocks was purely because there's no downstops on the front. It just makes it much easier to set the ride height and get the car running smoothly. I've also got a titanium gear servo, so that's the specifically for the GLA or the GLD, so it's the smaller one of the two titanium servos. I've got a 3500 kV motor. It is a sensored motor, but I'm using it as a sensorless with the standard speed controller. I'm using a NB4 receiver, so I'm using my Noble FlySky NB4. The gyro I've got on here is a standard Gen 2 gyro. The endpoints aren't adjustable, and it does the job just fine. I'm sure I'll switch it over to the adjustable endpoints gyro, the V3, but I've not needed it, to be fair. In terms of other adjustments I've made to this car, you may have already have noticed I've got some sorry, just recenter the screen there. You may have noticed these bars running down here. Now the purpose of these bars were twofold. One is because this car doesn't have any end stoppers to stop the wheels overturning, and that was a big problem when setting this car up. Now you can see I've got that set pretty beautifully, and there's no issue at all. And all that is paper clips which I've bent and looped through the arms on the adjustable turnbuckles there. So I've put these through the adjustable turnbuckles. Obviously you have to do this once you've got the settings correct on your arms, otherwise you'll not be able to adjust the turnbuckles. But yes, once that's correct. So the second purpose for this is it also stabilizes the arms. It just makes them a bit more secure. I always felt it was a bit flimsy, and that takes the flimsiness out of it and gives them stability, so that the arms act almost together when the wheel moves up and down. It just gives that bit more say reduces the free slop in the arms and just gives you a nice feeling as you move them up and down. So now with this wheelbase and this particular width, I can get a nice angle with the steering. I can get a parallel Ackerman, and pretty much it goes all the way to parallel without any interference or stuttering or jamming. The reason why I've gone for this width of car, so again the Corvette is quite a wide width, because of the body here I didn't want to have to adjust this base plate. So with the wide body, the wheels are further away from the base plate, so when you turn them to full lock they're not going to hit here. If you go with a narrower body, you're going to find that's going to hit. I think they've done a new aluminium base plate which is thinner here, so if you want to do it like a, you know, a Skyline, a Nissan Skyline, you have to be more careful, the R32 there, that it's going to hit. So this has been set up, and the angle I've got the wheels cambering in at and the toe is all specific to this body shell and how it fits in the wheels, and also for this width to get the wheels to give that angle. I've got the caster set back. No, I haven't, I'm lying. I've got the caster set forwards, and that's also to do with how the wheels are gonna, when they tilt fully, how much space I've got before they hit. It just works better with this particular car and this particular setup for me to have the caster set here. I've tried the other positions and it seems that either I get, if I've got it set too far back, this is going to hit. It was interference one way or another, and also I couldn't quite get the angles nice for the wheel arches. They were scraping, but it works. So this is specific to this car. If you copy this setup, you know, it's not necessarily going to fit on another car. Now I'd like to tell you the wheel offset I'm using here, but I've forgotten. I think it's an offset 1 on the front and an offset 1 on the rear, but I could be wrong. Actually no, I think it's an offset 2 on the rear. I'll look that up, guys, and put it in the description. But the rear is very easy. Obviously you just set that according to the width of the car. And so I've just cut this part into the video just to show you how the actual arches and the wheels sit. Now you have to adjust the spring, so when the car's weight is on with the body, the wheels sit just so. So in this, the only other thing I do sometimes do, depending on the type of racing, is put a weight in the back here, and that helps hold sideways slides for longer, so that the car really does crawl sideways nicely. But it's pretty good as is now, so let's move on to the next. See, it'll just sink in. Now this shell is beautiful for the width of the wheel arches. It gives me plenty of space for those wheels to move. Now people come a cropper when they fit light kits into these drift cars and they don't watch where the wires are, because it doesn't take much when the steering's at maximum for the wheel to hit the wires for the light, and the car spins out. So you have to really be careful when putting light kits in, and that's why these cars work so much better with the 1/24th scale. It just cuts out that problem because you've got a lot more room to maneuver. That said, if you use magnetic mounts to mount the bodies, it does give you more adjustability with the height and the clearance for the wheels. But ultimately, if you want the wheels to sink low, which we all do when they're actually, the car's riding along, you need that space above just there for that wheel to slip into. In terms of how the car sits on the back suspension, I've got a little bit of camber there just coming in, just a little bit, but you can see my tread is being used fairly evenly. Hopefully I'm not too embarrassed now, although maybe the right wheel could be a bit better. Yeah, okay, well this is things you don't have to necessarily tune in if the car's handling like you want it to handle. So that's the overall setup of the car. The thing that's made the biggest difference for me, I think, overall, okay, I'm going to set myself up for a fall here, aren't I? I think having my arms there, that really helps because it stops the wheels locking. Everything else is just down to setup. And pretty much with the standard car, if you get the setup right with the right size body shell or the right width body shell, you should be able to get this car to drift nicely. But these parts all contribute to the stability of the front end. The problem I had with the car previously, no matter what I did, and I've got aluminium rear hubs, aluminium front hubs, so the alloy hubs all around. Okay, I forgot to mention that. Sorry guys, it's been a while since I've used this car, so I've kind of forgotten these little points. Those all helped with just making the parts more reliable. In terms of what stopped it spinning one way more than the other, that came down to, I think, the aluminium arms here and making sure that we've got a straight line across. Now I've fixed a few of these up where they've been sent to me with the arms off angle, and you know, one wheel's forward, one wheel's back, and you know, you're not going to get the car handling the same in both directions when it's like that. You have to take care of that. You have to make sure you've got it pretty straight right the way across, if you know what I mean, that these arms, these plastic ends aren't bent one further back than the other. So the Corvette is a brilliant shell for this car. It handles beautifully with this setup. I don't think it handles as well when you go down to a narrow setup, just the way the mechanics of the steering geometry is. It doesn't like it, and you can't get the same kind of turning angle if you go to a narrow setup. It just doesn't work as well. I think a lot of us, what we don't realize with these drift cars, even though you can make them different sizes, there is an optimum size where they work best. Let me pick this glue off here, it's annoying me. There's an optimum size where they work best, and that optimum size may not be 94 or 90 millimeters. It might be 98, it might be 110. It could well be 90, but you just have to check for each car, and you'll find that the steering works best and finds the best angles. Variables that come into this that you can't adjust is the length of the knuckle arm from there to there, and that, you know, also the length of the steering arms here to here. These things make a difference to how the car is going to handle and move. So, sorry, how you set up the car, and that will make a difference how it handles and moves. So overall now I'm happy with the setup of this car, and it is as good as any other, and I think it's taken unfair criticism. So if you've got a GLD, just be patient, and you know, these little hop-ups will help. Now, to make the actual arms here, you've just got to get them, the length in between is prefixed, so as long as you get it approximately right, you've just got to feed the paper clip through and bend the end of it, or pre-bend one side and hook it through like you can see I've done there, then bend the other part and then cut it off once it's through. Relatively easy to do. I mean, unless someone wants me to make a video on that, I think that's self-explanatory. But yeah, so how could I improve this car further? I think the only thing is a V3 gyro and a censored setup, but I'm so happy with it, and frankly, you know, it's working nicely. The setup is good. So I'll leave you with some drifting footage of the car. Things you may have noticed in the video is I didn't have a lot of wheel shake. Now, it does depend on the surface you're running. The bumpier the surface, the more likely you're going to get wheel shake. Bearing in mind this is a Gen 2 gyro, not a Gen 3, but I think having those braces on the wheels really helps control the wheel shake. One of the other things I do, especially when I'm on the track and I'm doing bigger sweeping corners, like I actually change the settings for my steering speed. Now, you might think this is counterintuitive, but I want to go into my MB4 menu in a second and just show you that when I'm running on the track, I go into the steering speed settings. Let's see if I can do this without getting a reflection, guys. Just bear with me. So my gyro was set 50%, but my steering speed, I have actually got the return speed at 90 and the return speed at 30. That's what works for me on my track. It seems counterintuitive to have such a slow return speed, but it does help the car. It stabilizes the car, makes it more predictable when I'm trying to get it to do things in transitions. That works for me on this particular track. So that is down to your surface and also down to, you know, what tires you're running. I'm running at the moment, let's look at the car itself. Rears LF5, front LF4. Now that's the balance I've gone with that works with this particular car. That doesn't work for every car on every surface, but as you can see, it turns kind of slowly when I release. That seems counterintuitive, but the gyro still responds pretty quickly. It just means when you're making inputs, you're not as erratic. But sure, that's just a little tip for me that I use. But again, it depends on the individual track, car and surface, so just remember that. It's just worth checking your transmitter settings because it does make a difference. I'm running the gyro at about 50%, but I can run this car at gyro 30% and it still runs pretty smoothly. But the main thing I see that is different from the original setup is if you look at the older videos, the wheels aren't shaking as much. So guys, that's everything for this video. More videos to come. I am going to be making some more mini Z videos. I just haven't got around to it, but I'm going to go back to the I've got a GLR GT to review as well, and I've also got a modification for the mini Z all-wheel drive, that the Evo all-wheel drive that I want to show as well. So guys, okay guys, that's all for now. I'll see you all in the next video.